Hi boys and girls, Lady Silver Vixen here. Today's video is going to be about writing a spell. There's a lot to spell casting, and it all starts with what you yourself really actually want. As soon as you start thinking about the spell has already begun. Now there's a few different things that you can do to set up and get ready for a spell. First of all, you have to have an idea of what you want to do. So get out a writing pad, just piece of copy paper, something to write your ideas down on. Or you can go the route of using a spell worksheet to help you keep your thoughts organized. Personally, I don't really like working with this kind of a spell worksheet. It's really generic and plain, but it does allow you to actually organize your thoughts. As you can actually see on here, I already have a brief example already set up. You can also write yourself notes on these kinds of pieces of paper too. Most of the time worksheets will have the additional notes section down at the bottom. And it also, I recommend either writing in erasable pen or pencil, so that way you can go back and fix mistakes. For this, we're going to consider what kind of spell we want to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do a rain spell. Alright, we're going to do a rain spell. The purpose of the spell is to help nourish the earth. It'll be in the moon phase of the new moon. These are all things that you have to consider. You can look these things up yourself to find out what time would be best for you to do them on. What day would be the best if you want to go that route. The reason why I left this blank is because personally I just do spells whenever I can fit them in. Some of the other things that you can add into this is the actual form of magic to be used. Is it going to be good magic, negative magic? What are your true intentions? What are the intentions that you have? And you need to be aware of them. So for this section, we can actually say that this is for good intent because I have some plants that need rain. Alright. The ingredients and supplies that will be used, this is where you write down all your supplies, all the materials that you want to use. How you want to set up your altar can also be written in here, or it can be written into the additional notes. It can also be written into the preparation instructions and specific steps for the spell. One of the other things that you can add onto this piece of paper is also the deities that you want to invoke. Now, generally speaking, this can be done before the spell is done, or you can actually use this after you've already written your spell to kind of reorganize your thoughts. Just remember, when you're writing your spell, the easiest way to keep everything organized is to write the spell as in the way that you really want to cast it. It makes things 10 times easier. So I already have our spell written out in a ritual format. Not all spells have to be done in a ritual format. It's just easy for me to teach this way. This is one of the ways that I'm most familiar with. Personally, I'm more of a point and go type person. So actually having to sit down and write everything out makes me really more consciously aware of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, when I'm going to do it, the whole 9 yards. So I actually advise beginners to go this route. Even advanced practitioners will do this from time to time. So the first thing we're going to do when we're working with our spell and we're getting it written up is always to remember to ground and center yourself. Okay, you need to cleanse yourself so that way you'll be in balance when you're actually going to do the spell itself. Always make sure you have your tools ahead of time. You have to know exactly what you need. Make sure that you have them at all when you're ready to do this. Go ahead and set up the altar. Because you've already cleansed and purified yourself, you can move right on to the next step, which is to bless the water and the salt and make sure that you cleanse the circle space, which is the purpose of the salt and the water. From there, you can go ahead and you can cast your circle. You can invoke the elements and deity, any deity that you've chosen. And a lot of people forget this part. This is why one of the reasons why spells actually fail. People forget to raise energy. You can raise energy in a number of ways. You can rock, you can clap, you can sing, chant, dance, drum. If you're musically inclined, aside from drumming, you can play any kind of instrument that you're used to. With me, I like to use the flute. And it can be as simple as drumming on a pot or a pan, you know. Just something to really get your energy up, to get that vibration elevated and your heart rate going, so that way it just makes you more passionate about what you're doing. While that energy is raised, that's when you're going to say your spell. For this instance, I've already pre-written the spell, just so that way I can go ahead and I can run right through this video and really help you guys as much as I possibly can after the video, after you guys have watched it. For this one, it's really simple. I've used my spell worksheet to actually write the spell, okay? Because I know it's a rain spell, and that's the kind of spell that I want to do, I'm going to incorporate that as much as I possibly can into the short phrasing that I have. And I really want to make sure that my purpose is stated in the spell, because it reiterates why I'm doing the spell in the first place. It also adds a little extra energy to it. So I've chosen the words, rain above, pour with love, nourish the earth, and allow new birth. Because rain brings life, I really wanted to incorporate the ability of spawning new growth, because I have a lot of plants that are hurting at the moment. So you really have to speak from the heart when you write these. I recommend people usually writing it as a poem or writing it as a song. Spells do not have to rhyme, by all means. It's just easier because they're easier to remember. After you've gone ahead and you've said your spell, you go ahead and release the energy, so that way your spell is released to the universe. Afterwards, you can say a couple extra prayers, or you can do something else that you've planned to do to go along with this. I've written this so that way you could actually incorporate it into a full-on ritual, say for Mabon or Samhain, something along those lines. From there, you can go ahead and release the elements and deity, release your circle, make sure you clean up after yourself, do not leave a mess, and ground and center again to release any excess energy. Spells can take anywhere from a couple hours to 21 days to even a couple of months down the line before they will actually start showing signs of manifestation, depending on the level of difficulty of the spell, as well as if you copy the thing from offline and how much energy that you're putting into it. Spells are reliant on how much energy and how much willpower that you put behind it. You guys have probably also heard that if you're going to write a spell, it's best to write your own instead of pulling one offline. This is true. Because you are the one writing it, the spell gets your energy, not the original author's. If you do use a spell from offline, I recommend you modify it. I modify spells all the time if I'm in a hurry and I can't write one of my own. Really try to put as much thought and focus into your spell writing when you're doing it as you possibly can. You don't want to be skimpy on it. That's another thing that can cause a spell to fail. There's several different things that can cause a spell to fail. Like I said, there's the raising of the energy. Beginners usually forget to cast a circle. I always recommend beginners casting a circle because it helps trap in that energy that you have raised. It also keeps out general distractions and things along those lines. One of the other things that has been brought to my attention too is that a lot of people are concerned that when they do a circle, that their dog or their infant, brother or sister is crossing into the circle. Animals and infant children can walk in and out of a circle without phasing it. These are pure creatures at the time. So you never have to worry about that. They're not going to disrupt the energy flow within your circle. If anything, they will actually add energy to your circle. But if you guys have any further questions, please let me know. For right now, if you're still a beginner, I actually recommend you writing your own spells, or at least learning how to. Practicing them, practicing how to cast your circle and everything else, and build your experience before you do your first spell. I know spells are really enticing, but it's not everything there is to know about magic. Just because you may be a really adept spell writer doesn't mean that you're the almighty powerful witch that lives down the street. Make sure you focus. Focus, focus, focus when you're doing these. If you lose focus, it'll go back to what I said about the raising of the energy and casting of the circle. It can cause your spell to fail. If your spell is ridiculous and defies the general laws of gravity, the general laws of physics, things along those lines, it's going to fail. You cannot become a mermaid, you cannot become a vampire, and you can't become a werewolf, so please do not ask me for any kind of spell along those lines. If you need help with your spell writing, I will more than gladly help you as much as I possibly can. Just remember the general tips that I've given you here, and you should have no problems. See if there's anything else that I can think of. There's an awful lot to spell writing. It's not just scribbling a couple of words, lighting a couple candles, and doing a little bit of chanting. You have to put a lot of energy behind these. Okay, guys? It's not just something that you can just up and do because you think it might be cool to try. Magic is real. It's very serious, and you need to take it seriously. It's not bad to have fun. I have fun every time that I cast the circle and raise the energy and invoke the deities and invoke the elements. You can have fun with it, but make sure that you keep the general purpose, the whole reason behind why you're doing this in mind. I'll leave the whole spiel about going the negative route for another video. Just know that whatever you send out comes back threefold. So be very conscious about what you do. Try not to hurt anybody. I do not condone this, and most witches, like myself, don't condone this. Do not directly cause harm to another individual through the use of spells or ritual or anything else. Karma is not pleasant to have to deal with afterwards. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful and useful, and if you'd like, I will also post a copy of the spell worksheet for you. This is Lady Silver Vixen. This was about spell writing and casting. Blessed be.